what's up? I am doing my project over the Miracle of Lanciano by Sam McGowan. That's me. So, some background about the miracle. It took place in the 18th century in a town called Lanciano. Town is in Italy, east of Rome. So on the map, it'd be somewhere right around there. Lanciano is a small town. During the 700s, though, it was known as Axinum. In the 700s, it was still the Roman Empire. The miracle took place at the monastery of St. Longinus. St. Longinus was the Roman soldier who stabbed Jesus in the side with a lance. When he was on the cross, he then said that Jesus was truly the Son of God. He then later converted to Christianity, and he then died as a martyr. So the story of the miracle, one monk at the monastery, he doubted transubstantiation. Transubstantiation is the belief that the bread and wine truly turn into the body and blood of Christ during Mass. So when the monk was, when he said the words of consecration, which are when the celebrant of the Mass puts his hands over the bread and wine and says, "This is my body and this is my blood, which has been given up for you." The bread changed into living flesh, and the wine changed to real blood. The blood then coagulated, which means it became a solid, into 5 globules, which are just small balls. They were all irregular and different in shape and size. So this means that the blood, a little bit after it changed into actual blood and living flesh, the blood turned into 5 hard blood balls. So the investigation of it, so after it happened, the Archbishop ordered investigations to see if it was really a miracle and see if it really happened. The flesh and blood turned out to be real human flesh and blood. They then weighed the blood globules on a scale, and although they were all different sizes and shapes, they always weighed the same exact amount of weight, which was 15.85 grams. And adding to that, even with any amount of them being weighed, it would always equal 15.85 grams. So if you weighed any one of them, it'd equal 15.85 grams. If you equaled any 2 of them, any 3 of them, any 4 of them, all 5 of them, it would always equal 15.85 grams. And that was even called the miracle of the weights. So some more investigation happened in 1970 and 1971 by Professor Edoardo Linoli. I think that's right. He investigated the flesh and the blood. He came to these conclusions. The flesh is real flesh, and it consists of tissue of the myocardium, which is the heart wall. The flesh and blood both have type AB blood. There were proteins in the blood that were in the same proportions as in the seroproteic makeup of normal blood, so that means it just had the same proteins as normal blood would be in any other human. There were no preservatives found, and the blood still had the properties of freshly shed blood, which it should not happen, that should not happen because after about 30 minutes after blood is shed, it loses all of its chemical properties. And it has no preservatives in it, so that is very strange. That still had all the properties of freshly shed blood. The blood also contained elements of sodium, chloride, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and calcium. After this, Anoli said that it was very unlikely for this miracle to be a fraud. For only a very skilled pathologist could obtain such a uniform cut of the heart. So he was basically saying that it was very unlikely for this miracle to be fake, and he believes that it was actually true, because only a very skilled person could obtain such a good cut from the heart, and with and with the the properties of the blood still being there, he believes that it truly was a miracle and it was not fake. Why I believe in this miracle? I believe in it because it has the same blood type as all other miracles related to Jesus' blood. So an example of those are Shroud of Turin, the Sudarium, and the Corporal of Bolsena. When all their blood types were tested, they all came out to be AB, and a lot of other ones like that came out to be type AB blood. Another reason it was very unlikely for someone in the 18th or the 8th century to be skilled enough to make such a cut from the heart. In the 8th century, they weren't very skilled in things like this, and they didn't have very good technology. So it was very unlikely for some such to get a good cut of the heart back then. The blood and flesh, it was free of preservatives. It is centuries old and has the same properties of human blood and flesh. And it also should have deteriorated right by now, but it has not. That is very strange, and I believe it's a miracle because since it has no preservatives and it's very old, around 1,250 years old, it has not deteriorated by now, and it still has all the same properties as blood that has been freshly shed. So how God responds to humanity's experience of suffering and evil. God responds to the miracle of Lanciano by showing that Jesus really died and suffered for us by changing the blood and wine into Jesus' actual flesh and blood. Jesus suffered greatly to save us, and God is always with us when we suffer. We never suffer alone. God suffers with us. This miracle gives us a sign of hope and love because it shows that Jesus really died for us out of love for all of us, and that he is always there and he's always with us. This miracle also brought reassurance to the monk that didn't believe in transubstantiation, and it showed that Jesus is truly present in the Eucharist and he's always with us. And there are my sources. Thank you.